My name is Harper, and I'm 32 years old. Right now, I'm sitting in my car outside my father's house on Thanksgiving morning, staring at my phone. The screen shows a receipt for $8,000, paid in full 3 weeks ago. Just 5 minutes ago, I received a text from my father telling me not to come to Thanksgiving dinner. The dinner I paid $8,000 for. The dinner where 35 guests are about to arrive, expecting a feast I personally arranged. But here's what my father forgot. The venue reservation? It was in my name. And I have exactly 2 hours and 15 minutes before the event starts to make the decision that will change everything. Before we dive into how I got here and what I'm about to do, I want to know where you're watching from. Drop your city or country in the comments because this story is about to get wild. And if you've ever felt taken advantage of by your own family, you're going to want to hit that like button and subscribe, because what happens next is the kind of justice that doesn't happen often enough. Trust me, you won't want to miss a single second of this. Let me take you back to understand how I ended up in this nightmare. I've always been what people call the fixer in my family. The responsible one. The one who holds everything together even when it's falling apart. My father, Bradford, is a successful corporate executive. He runs a consulting firm downtown, makes good money, and cares deeply about one thing above all else: his image. How things look to the outside world matters more to him than how things actually are. My stepmother, Claudette, married my father 5 years ago. She's a social climber in every sense of the word, the kind of woman who measures her worth by the size of her house and the brand names in her closet. Then there's my half-sister, Bianca. She's 24, Claudette's daughter from her first marriage. And she's been spoiled beyond reason since the day I met her. My real mother died when I was 16. Cancer took her in 8 brutal months. And when she left, she took the warmth out of our house with her. My father remarried fast. Too fast. Just 2 years after Mom died, Claudette moved in with her daughter, and suddenly I went from being an only child grieving her mother to being the older sister expected to welcome this new family with open arms. I tried. I really did. But Claudette made it clear from day one that Bianca was the priority, the princess, and I was just the leftover daughter from the first marriage. My father let it happen. He was so desperate to move on from his grief that he didn't notice, or didn't care, that I was drowning. I worked 2 jobs through college because I didn't want to ask my father for money. I saw how he held finances over people's heads, how money meant control in his world. So I paid my own way, graduated with honors, and built a career in marketing. Now, I'm a director at a mid-size firm, pulling in a decent salary, living in my own apartment. I thought I'd finally proven myself. But no matter what I accomplished, my father always found ways to compare me unfavorably to Bianca. Why can't you be more feminine like Bianca? Why can't you smile more like she does? Bianca would never question me like this. It was a constant drip of criticism that wore me down year after year. Every Thanksgiving, my father hosts a big dinner. It's not really about family. It's about impressing his business associates and showing off to extended family. Usually about 35 people attend, a mix of his colleagues, his wife's friends, some cousins and aunts and uncles. This year, I made a decision that I thought would finally earn his approval. I volunteered to pay for and organize the entire Thanksgiving celebration as a gift to him. I wanted to show him that I was successful, that I was capable, that I was worthy of being his daughter. I hired a premium catering company known for their upscale menus. I rented a beautiful venue with floor-to-ceiling windows and crystal chandeliers. I arranged every detail, from the floral centerpieces to the custom menu cards. The total cost came to $8,000, pulled from my savings account. It hurt my budget, but I told myself it was worth it. When I first told my father about the gift, he seemed genuinely pleased. He bragged to his colleagues about his daughter's generosity, about how successful I'd become. For a few brief weeks, I felt like I'd finally done something right in his eyes. 3 weeks before Thanksgiving, I finalized all the arrangements. I sent an update to our family group chat with photos of the venue, details about the menu, and the timeline for the day. Everyone responded with excitement and gratitude, or at least that's what their messages said. My father sent a thumbs-up emoji. Claudette wrote that it all looked lovely. Bianca replied with heart emojis. I felt good about it, like I'd finally brought something positive to this fractured family. 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, everything shifted. Bianca suddenly announced in the family chat that she was engaged. Her boyfriend, Preston, had proposed over a romantic dinner at an expensive steakhouse. Preston comes from money. Old money. The kind that buys you connections and opportunities without you even trying. He works at my father's firm in some vague executive role that I'm pretty sure was created just for him. Bianca posted a dozen photos of her ring. A massive diamond that probably cost more than my car. I sent congratulations, genuinely happy for her despite our complicated relationship. I even offered to add a special champagne toast to the Thanksgiving dinner to celebrate her engagement. She seemed thrilled with the idea. 10 days before Thanksgiving, Claudette called me. Not a text, a phone call, which should have been my first warning sign. Her voice had that syrupy, sweet tone she uses when she wants something. She told me that the family had been talking, and they wanted to make some changes to the Thanksgiving plans. Since Bianca just got engaged, wouldn't it be wonderful to turn the dinner into a combined Thanksgiving and engagement party? Before I could fully process that, she launched into a list of additions that would be needed. A professional photographer to capture the engagement celebration, special decorations with Bianca and Preston's names, a custom engagement cake from a fancy bakery downtown. Shed already gotten quotes. The additional cost would be $3,500. I sat there on the phone, my stomach sinking. It already stretched my budget thin with the original $8,000. I had about $4,000 left in my emergency fund, money I kept for actual emergencies like car repairs or medical bills. Claudette's voice pressed on. Surely you want to celebrate your sister's happiness, don't you? This is a once-in-a-lifetime moment for her. Family is supposed to support each other during big moments like this. The guilt landed exactly how she intended. I heard myself saying yes before I'd fully decided, promising to cover the additional costs. After I hung up, I sat in my apartment feeling sick, but I told myself it was fine. It was just money, and this was for family. I made the payments that afternoon, withdrawing from my emergency fund and watching my safety net disappear. 8 days before Thanksgiving, my father called. His tone was casual, almost offhand, which is how he delivers his worst demands. He mentioned that Preston's parents would be attending the dinner. The Suttons are very influential people, he said. Preston's father owns a commercial real estate empire. His mother sits on the boards of half a dozen charities. My father wanted to impress them, needed to impress them, because business connections with the Sutton family could be very valuable. So, we needed to upgrade the venue to the premium ballroom, the one with the better view and the marble floors. I pulled up the venue website while he talked. The premium ballroom cost an additional $2,200. I pushed back for the first time. Dad, I said, I've already spent $11,500 total. This is getting out of control. There was a long pause on the line. Then, his voice came back cold and sharp. Are you really going to be selfish about your sister's special moment, Harper? After everything this family has done for you? We took you in, we raised you, and now when we need you to step up for something important, you're counting pennies? Family comes first. That's what your mother would have wanted. The invocation of my dead mother hit like a slap. I felt my resistance crumble. I heard myself agreeing again, promising to pay for the upgrade. When I hung up, I transferred another $2,200, bringing my total contribution to $13,700. My emergency fund was gone. My savings account looked skeletal. But I told myself it would be worth it when I saw the gratitude in my father's eyes, when I finally felt like part of this family. 6 days before Thanksgiving, I was exhausted. Work had been brutal with year-end projects piling up, and the party planning had consumed all my free time. I'd been coordinating with vendors, confirming details, making sure every element was perfect. That evening, I received a notification that someone had posted in the family group chat. It was Claudette, sharing an updated seating chart for the event. I clicked on the image and scanned through the names. Bradford and Claudette at the head table, obviously. Bianca and Preston next to them. Preston's parents, the Suttons, at the head table as well. Extended family members arranged at surrounding tables. I read through every name twice. Mine wasn't there. I texted Claudette privately, keeping my message light. I think there's a mistake on the seating chart. My name isn't included. Should I be at the head table or one of the family tables? The 3 dots appeared, showing she was typing, then disappeared, then appeared again. Finally, her response came through. "Oh, didn't your father tell you? We needed the space for Preston's family. They have several relatives coming now." The guest list grew. I stared at that message, reading it over and over. I called my father immediately. He answered, sounding irritated that I was bothering him. When I asked about the seating chart, about my missing name, he sighed heavily. "Well, discuss this later, Harper. I'm in the middle of something." I insisted we discuss it now. I could hear the annoyance building in his voice. "The Sutton family is very important. We need to make a good impression on them. There are only so many seats in the premium ballroom, the one you're paying for, by the way, and we had to make some tough choices about the seating arrangements." I asked where exactly I would be sitting then. There was a pause. "Your name is on the overflow table," he finally said. The overflow table. I asked him to explain what that meant. "It's a small table we're setting up in the hallway outside the main ballroom," he said, "for extra guests and staff. You'll still be at the event, just not in the main room." I sat there stunned into complete silence. My father continued talking, explaining how this was actually better because I could help coordinate things, make sure everything ran smoothly, be useful. When I finally found my voice, all I could say was that I'd paid nearly $14,000 for this event. He said he appreciated that, but the seating arrangements were final. The call ended. 5 days before Thanksgiving, I tried talking to Bianca. I thought maybe, despite our differences, she'd see how wrong this was. I called her and congratulated her again on the engagement, then gently brought up the seating situation. Her response made everything worse. "It's really my engagement party now, Harper. Preston's family is the priority. They're the ones who matter for our future. You understand that, right? Plus, you're not even dating anyone, so it's not like you need a prominent seat." The casual cruelty in her voice, the dismissiveness, it cut deeper than I expected. I tried to explain that I'd paid for everything, that I deserved to at least be in the main room. She laughed. "You offered to pay as a gift. Gifts don't come with strings attached. That's tacky." Then she had to go. Preston was calling, and she hung up. 4 days before Thanksgiving, I decided to check in with the venue directly. Something felt off about the whole situation. I called and asked to speak with the coordinator. When I explained who I was, she sounded confused. She told me my father had called the venue that morning claiming he was the one paying for the event and asking for the invoice to be sent to him instead of me. He wanted his name listed as the primary contact and the host of record for the event. The coordinator had been uncertain about the request and wanted to verify with me since I was the one who'd made all the payments. I felt my hands shaking as I thanked her and sent over copies of all my payment receipts to prove I was the actual client. After I hung up, I sat there understanding a terrible truth. My father wasn't just taking my money. He was trying to erase my contribution entirely, to take credit for everything in front of Preston's family. 3 days before Thanksgiving, I made a decision to keep the peace. I would attend the event and sit at the overflow table in the hallway. It was humiliating, but I told myself it was better than causing family drama. I could be the bigger person. I could swallow my pride for 1 day. 2 days before Thanksgiving, I received another notification from the family group chat. Claudette had posted an updated seating chart. I opened it with a sense of dread already forming in my stomach. I scanned through every single name on every single table. The head table, the family tables, even the overflow table in the hallway. My name was gone completely. I wasn't listed anywhere. I'd been erased from my own event. The day before Thanksgiving, I called my father for what I thought would be our final confrontation. I needed to hear him explain this to my face, or at least over the phone. He answered with barely concealed impatience. "What now, Harper?" His tone made it clear I was an inconvenience. I kept my voice calm and explained the situation clearly. I had paid for this entire event. Nearly $14,000 total. I deserved to attend. I deserved at least basic acknowledgement of my contribution. I wasn't asking to be praised or put in the spotlight. I just wanted to be there. My father listened in silence. When I finished, he sighed like I was a child throwing a tantrum over nothing. "You offered to pay as a gift," he said. "Gifts don't come with conditions, Harper. That's not how generosity works. You can't give something and then demand recognition for it. That's manipulative." I felt the words like a punch. I tried again. "Dad, this isn't about recognition. This is about being excluded from a family event." He cut me off. "Preston's grandmother needs that seat. She's 87 years old and she's a very important person. We can't have her sitting in the hallway." I asked the obvious question. "So I'm less important than Preston's grandmother who I've never met?" There was a long pause. "Stop making everything about you," he finally said. "This is about family unity. This is about showing the Suttons that we're a strong, successful family. Your presence might complicate that." I asked what he meant by complicate. His answer destroyed something in me. "The Suttons might ask questions about you. Why you're single. Why you don't have a more impressive career title. Why you're not as polished as Bianca. It's awkward explaining your situation, like I was a problem to be managed rather than his daughter." I mentioned again that I'd spent nearly $14,000. He acknowledged it. "We appreciate your financial contribution," he said, like I was a corporate sponsor rather than family. "But you're being selfish now by making demands. Maybe it's best if you don't come at all. You're creating unnecessary drama right before an important event." I asked directly if he was uninviting me from Thanksgiving. He framed it differently. "I'm asking you to be mature and step back for your sister's sake. This is her moment. Can't you just let her have this without making it about you?" The call ended shortly after. I sat in my apartment feeling numb, like I was watching my life from outside my body. I kept thinking about my mother, about what she would say if she could see this. She'd be heartbroken, she'd be furious, but she wasn't here, and I was alone. Thanksgiving morning arrived, which brings us to the current moment. I woke up to a text from my father, sent at 7 in the morning. "After thinking about it overnight, it's better you don't attend today. Your attitude has been very disappointing lately. Well, talk after the holidays and hopefully you'll have had time to reflect on your behavior. Happy Thanksgiving." Below the text was a photo attachment. I opened it. The ballroom I'd paid for, decorated beautifully with the flowers I'd selected, and the arrangements I'd approved. The caption read, "Can't wait for today's celebration." My hands were shaking so hard I nearly dropped my phone. I opened the family group chat. Everyone was posting excited messages. Claudette sharing photos of her outfit for the party. Bianca posting a mirror selfie with Preston, both dressed up, captioning it with, "So grateful for the most amazing parents who made this day possible." Extended family members commenting about how they couldn't wait to attend this beautiful event. Not a single person mentioned me. Not one person asked if I was coming, or if I was okay. It was like it never existed. I sat there in my apartment, realizing the horrible truth. They'd planned this all along. They'd gotten my money, squeezed every possible dollar out of me with their additions and upgrades and demands, and then they'd discarded me like trash. I was never meant to attend. I was just a wallet they could exploit. I got dressed mechanically, putting on jeans and a sweater, not the dress I'd bought for the occasion. I got in my car and drove to my parents' house, though I'm not sure why. Some part of me needed to see it with my own eyes. I parked across the street and watched. The catering trucks arrived right on schedule, staff members unloading trays of food I'd selected from the menu. A van from the flower company pulled up, two workers carrying in the elaborate floral arrangements. I'd approved. Every single element was something I'd chosen, I'd paid for, I'd arranged. And I was sitting in my car outside like a stranger, banned from my own event. I sat there in my car with my hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles turned white. My phone rang, an unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. A woman's voice came through, professional and concerned. "Miss Harper? This is Sylvia from Prestige Catering. I'm calling because there's some confusion about today's event, and I wanted to verify details with you directly since you're our client of record." My stomach dropped. "What kind of confusion?" I asked. Sylvia explained that my father had called the catering company that morning, about an hour ago. Had tried to take credit for booking their services and had requested that the invoice be changed to his name for tax purposes. He wanted to be announced as the host when the guests arrived, and Head asked the catering manager to make sure all the staff knew to direct any compliments about the food and service to him specifically. Sylvia had found this strange since all the contracts and payments had come from me. She was calling to verify if this change was legitimate or if something inappropriate was happening. I thanked her, my voice barely steady, and confirmed that I was still the client of record. Everything should remain in my name. After hanging up, I sat there feeling like I was seeing clearly for the first time. This wasn't just about excluding me from the party. They wanted to erase my entire contribution. My father wanted Preston's family to believe Head paid for everything, that he was the generous, successful father throwing this elaborate celebration. He was stealing credit for my money and my effort. I opened my email on my phone, suddenly suspicious. I searched for emails from 3 weeks ago, around the time this all started. There, buried in my inbox, was an email I'd missed. It had been accidentally sent to me instead of just between my father and Claudette. The subject line read, "Thanksgiving Planning." I opened it and felt my world tilt. The email chain showed messages between Bradford and Claudette from 3 weeks ago, before they'd asked me to pay for any of the additions. Claudette had written, "Once Harper pays for the base event, we can add all the extras and have her pay for those too. She's desperate for Bradford's approval, so she won't say no." Bradford had replied, "Good idea. Make sure we get the photographer and the premium ballroom added before we tell her she can't come. We need everything locked in first." Claudette responded, "The Suttons will be so impressed. They'll think we paid for all of this ourselves." Bradford's final message in the chain: "Harper won't make a scene. She never does. She'll accept whatever we decide, because she's too afraid of losing what little connection she has to this family." I screenshot every single message with trembling hands. They'd planned this from the very beginning. Before they'd even asked me to pay the extra costs, they'd already decided to exclude me from the event. They'd used my love, my desperate need for acceptance and family, as a weapon against me. Every guilt trip, every manipulation, every time they'd invoked family loyalty, it had all been a calculated strategy to extract maximum money from me before throwing me away. I called my best friend Miranda. She's a colleague from work who's been my closest friend for 5 years. She answered immediately, heard the shake in my voice, and asked what was wrong. I told her everything in a rush, the words tumbling out. When I finished, there was a moment of silence. Then Miranda said exactly what I needed to hear. "You need to cancel everything right now. Cancel the venue, cancel the caterers, cancel every single thing you paid for." Her voice was fierce. "Harper, they committed fraud. They manipulated you. They planned to abuse you from day one. You owe them nothing." I asked if I could even do that. The party was supposed to start in just a few hours. Miranda reminded me that everything was in my name, my payments, my contracts. Legally, I had every right to cancel. She told me I should have canceled days ago when they first excluded me from the seating chart. "But it's not too late," she said. "You still have time. Do it now." This moment, sitting in that car, was my point of decision. I could let this happen. Let them steal my money and my dignity, or I could take my power back. I needed a minute to think clearly, so I drove away from my parents' house. I went to a coffee shop a few blocks away, ordered something I didn't drink, and sat in a corner booth trying to process everything. My phone buzzed with a notification. Bianca had posted on Instagram. I clicked on it even though I knew it would hurt. Her story showed a photo of the venue entrance decorated with beautiful fall flowers and an elegant sign that read, "Celebrating Love and Family." Her caption made my stomach turn. "So blessed that my parents are throwing me this amazing engagement party. I have the most generous, loving parents in the world." Shed tagged Bradford and Claudette in the post. There was no mention of me anywhere. Comments were already flooding in from her friends. "Your parents are incredible. This venue is stunning. You're so lucky to have such an amazing family." Each comment felt like a knife. I clicked through to Bianca's main profile and scrolled back through her recent posts. 2 weeks ago, I found something that stopped me cold. Bianca had posted a photo of herself with Preston at a high-end jewelry store downtown. They were both smiling at the camera, and prominently displayed was Preston's hand showing off a new expensive watch. The caption read, "When your parents offer to pay for your dream Thanksgiving celebration and your dream ring upgrade, you know you're truly loved." Below that, Preston had commented, "Can't wait to celebrate with your amazing parents tomorrow." My father had given Bianca money for a ring upgrade. While he was guilt-tripping me about being selfish and telling me I needed to contribute more, he was giving Bianca cash for jewelry. I scrolled back further, feeling sick. 1 month ago, there was a photo of Bianca and Claudette at an expensive spa. Both of them were in white robes holding champagne glasses, clearly having some kind of luxury spa day. The caption read, "Mom-Daughter Day courtesy of Harper's Thanksgiving Fund." She insisted we pamper ourselves before the big event. I never said that. I never insisted on anything. They'd taken money that was supposed to be for Thanksgiving and used it for their own personal luxury, then lied about it publicly, making it seem like it encouraged it. I called the venue coordinator back, my hands shaking with rage. I asked her to check my account for any changes or additional charges. She put me on hold for a moment, then came back sounding uncomfortable. "Yes, actually," she said. "Claudette Harrison called last week and upgraded the bar package to include premium liquor selections. She said you'd approved it and told us to charge your card on file. The additional cost was $1,800. I never approved that upgrade. I never even knew about it. They'd committed actual fraud, charging my credit card without permission. I called my bank immediately. I explained the situation to the fraud department and filed a report for the unauthorized charges. The representative was sympathetic but explained these things take time to investigate. She could flag the charges and start an inquiry, but it would be weeks before any resolution. Meanwhile, that money was gone from my account. I hung up, feeling helpless and furious. The party was starting in less than 3 hours, and there was nothing I could do about the stolen money. Or was there? I was still sitting in my car outside the venue when my phone rang. The caller ID showed my cousin Juliet. She's my father's niece, daughter of his younger brother. We'd always gotten along well at family gatherings, though we weren't particularly close. I answered, wondering why she was calling. "Harper, where are you? Are you okay?" Her voice was full of genuine concern, and it nearly broke me. She was the first family member Wad bothered to ask. I broke down and told her everything. The whole story spilled out, from the initial $8,000 gift to the constant additions and upgrades, from being removed from the seating chart to the final text this morning banning me from attending. I told her about the emails I'd found showing the planning, about the fraud, about everything. When I finished, Juliet was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, "I had no idea. Uncle Bradford told all of us that you were too busy with work to come to Thanksgiving this year. He made it sound like you'd chosen work over family." That revelation hit me hard. My father had been lying to the extended family, painting me as the neglectful daughter who couldn't be bothered to show up for family events. He was controlling the narrative, making sure that when I didn't appear at the party, everyone would blame me instead of questioning his behavior. Juliet's voice came back fierce and angry. "This is sick, Harper. What your father is doing is abuse. What are you going to do?" I admitted I didn't know. Everyone was already gathering at the venue. Guests were arriving. I couldn't just show up now after being explicitly told not to come. Juliet's response was immediate. "Honey, you have every right to cancel this whole thing. They committed fraud against you. They manipulated and abused you. You don't owe them anything." I tried to argue that canceling would hurt all the innocent guests who'd shown up expecting dinner. Juliet cut through that excuse. "Those guests aren't your responsibility. Your father made this bed when he decided to abuse his own daughter for money. Let him lie in it." Her words gave me courage I didn't know I had. Then my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. It was Sylvia, the venue coordinator. "Miss Harper, I don't mean to overstep, but I've worked in event planning for 15 years. I've seen situations like yours before. What your family is doing isn't right, and I want you to know that you have full cancellation rights until the event officially starts, according to your contract. You have until 2 hours before the scheduled start time to cancel with a partial refund. We would support whatever decision you make. If you choose to cancel, I'll personally ensure you're refunded every penny possible per the contract terms." I read that message 3 times. Sylvia had seen through what was happening. She was giving me permission, even encouraging me, to protect myself. I checked the contract terms on my phone. The cancellation policy was clear. I could cancel up to 2 hours before the event start time and receive a 60% refund of the total costs. The event was scheduled to start at 2 o'clock. It was currently 11:45. I had 2 hours and 15 minutes to make this decision. I looked up at the venue entrance. My father's car was pulling into the parking lot. I watched as Bradford, Claudette, and Bianca emerged from the vehicle. They were laughing about something, completely at ease. All 3 of them were wearing expensive new outfits, clothes I'd never seen before. Probably bought with the money they'd stolen from me. Bradford was checking his watch and greeting the first arriving guests with his politician's smile, playing the role of the generous host. He shook hands with an older couple I recognized as Preston's parents, the Suttons. He was in his element, basking in the credit for an event I'd paid for. I sat there watching him perform, and something inside me shifted. My hands were steady now. The shaking had stopped. I knew exactly what I needed to do. I pulled up Sylvia's number and called her. Number part 9. The Great Cancellation. Revenge Executed. Sylvia answered on the first ring. "Miss Harper, have you made a decision?" Her voice was calm and professional. I took a deep breath. "I'm canceling everything. Right now. I want to cancel the entire event." There was a brief pause. "Are you absolutely certain?" "Once I process the cancellation, it can't be undone. Guests are already arriving." I looked at the venue entrance where more cars were pulling up. People in their Thanksgiving best heading inside. "I'm completely certain," I said. My voice didn't shake. Sylvia's tone became brisk and efficient. "I'll need you to come inside to the office entrance and sign the cancellation paperwork. Can you be here in 5 minutes?" I told her I was already in the parking lot. She gave me directions to the back entrance where the administrative offices were located. I grabbed my purse and walked across the parking lot, my heart pounding but my resolve solid. Sylvia met me at the door, a woman in her 50s with kind eyes and a professional demeanor. She led me to a small office away from the main event spaces. The venue manager was there as well, a tall man in a suit who introduced himself as Robert. He had the paperwork already prepared, having printed it the moment Sylvia called him. He walked me through the terms. The cancellation would be immediate and complete. All vendors would be notified and sent home. The venue would be closed. Guests would be asked to leave. I would receive a 60% refund of the total amount paid, which came to about $8,200 of the nearly $14,000 I'd spent. I was losing money, but I was keeping my dignity. I signed every page. My signature was steady and clear. Robert looked at me with something like respect. "Well, make the announcement in 10 minutes, he said. "That will give you time to leave if you prefer. But if you'd like to be present when we inform your father, you're welcome to accompany us." Something fierce and bright rose up in my chest. "I want to be there when you tell him," I said. Robert nodded and actually smiled slightly. "I think that's entirely appropriate." The three of us walked through the back hallways toward the main ballroom. I could hear the sound of conversation and laughter. The clink of glasses, the ambient noise of a party beginning. We entered through a side door. The ballroom looked stunning. The long tables were set with elegant place settings and autumn-colored linens. The floral centerpieces were gorgeous, exactly as Eid envisioned. About 38 guests had already arrived and were mingling with drinks. At the front of the room, Bradford stood with Preston's parents, clearly in the middle of some story that had them nodding and smiling. Claudette was nearby, showing off the venue to a group of women, gesturing proudly at the decorations. Bianca was posing for photos with Preston near elaborate flower arrangement, her ring prominently displayed. Robert approached my father. "Mr. Harrison, we need to speak with you privately." Bradford looked annoyed at the interruption. He glanced over and saw me standing there. His face shifted from annoyance to confusion to anger in rapid succession. "I'm with guests," he said dismissively to Robert. "Whatever this is can wait." Robert's voice remained calm but firm. "I'm afraid it cannot wait, sir. This is a matter requiring immediate attention." He gestured toward a slightly more private corner of the room. Bradford excused himself from the Suttons and followed Robert, Claudette, and Bianca, noticing the commotion and hurrying over. I walked with them, staying close enough to hear every word. Robert delivered the news with professional courtesy. "Mr. Harrison, I need to inform you that this event has been cancelled effective immediately." Bradford stared at him like head spoken a foreign language. "What? That's impossible. What are you talking about?" Robert continued in the same calm tone. "Miss Harper Sutton, the client of record and the individual who made all payments for this event, has exercised her cancellation rights per the contract terms. All vendors have been notified and are currently packing up. The venue is closing. All guests will need to leave the premises within 15 minutes. Bradford's face turned a deep red. "This is absurd!" "I'm the one who arranged this." Robert shook his head slightly. "No, sir, you are not the client. Miss Sutton is the client. Her name is on all contracts, all payments came from her accounts, and she holds all legal rights to this event. She has chosen to cancel, which is her right." Bradford spun toward me, his eyes blazing with rage. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" His voice was rising, drawing attention from nearby guests. I kept my voice level and cold. "I'm canceling the party I paid for, Dad. The one you banned me from attending. The one where you removed my name from every seating chart. The one you tried to take credit for." "I'm done!" Bradford started sputtering, his composure completely shattered. "You can't do this! There are guests here! Preston's family is here! Do you have any idea what you're doing to this family's reputation?" I looked him straight in the eye. "You should have thought about that before you stole nearly $14,000 from me and then uninvited me via text message." Claudette rushed over, her face twisted with fury. "You vindictive little brat! After everything we've done for you." I turned to her calmly. "Be very careful what you say next, Claudette. I've already filed a police report for the fraudulent charges you made to my credit card last week. The $1,800 bar upgrade I never authorized. That's a crime." Claudette's face went pale. She opened her mouth to respond, but nothing came out. Bianca appeared, tears already streaming down her face. "Someone needs to fix this right now! This is my engagement party! My special day! You're ruining everything!" I looked at my half-sister, this spoiled woman-child who'd never worked for anything in her life. "It's not your party anymore, Bianca. There is no party. Maybe your parents can pay for a new one with their own money this time." Her mouth fell open in shock. Bradford grabbed my arm, his fingers digging in. "Harper, you stop this right now. We can discuss your seating arrangements, We can work something out, but you cannot do this. I pulled my arm free. There's nothing to discuss. It's already done. The contracts are cancelled. I turned and started walking toward the exit. Behind me, chaos erupted. Guests were confused, asking what was happening. I could hear the catering staff apologizing as they packed up food. The photographer was dismantling equipment. Claudette was crying loudly. Bianca was having a complete meltdown, her voice shrill and panicked. Bradford was shouting, trying to get Robert to reverse the decision, to fix this somehow. I walked through the crowd of bewildered guests. Some of them recognized me and looked confused about why I was leaving. I saw Preston's parents standing near the bar, their faces showing shock and disapproval as they took in the scene. Preston himself looked mortified, trying to comfort Bianca while his parents watched with thinly veiled judgment. I kept walking. Out of the ballroom, through the main entrance, into the parking lot. Behind me, the venue lights were already starting to dim as staff began closing down. I got into my car, started the engine, and drove away. In my rearview mirror, I could see people streaming out of the venue. The party dissolved before it ever really began. I drove straight to Miranda's apartment. She opened the door, took one look at my face, and pulled me inside. My phone had already started exploding with messages and calls. Bradford had called 23 times. I played the voicemails on speaker so Miranda could hear. The first few were pure rage. "You've embarrassed this family. How dare you? Preston's parents think we're trash because of you." Then they shifted to desperate bargaining. "Call me back, we need to fix this. Surely we can work something out." The final messages turned threatening. "You're going to regret this, Harper. You'll never be part of this family again. You've made a very big mistake." Claudette had sent 15 text messages. The first few called me names I won't repeat. Then she tried guilt. "Your mother would be so ashamed of you right now. After everything this family has done for you, giving you a home, including you in our lives, this is how you repay us?" The last message was particularly cruel. "You're going to die alone because nobody will ever love someone as selfish as you." Bianca sent 10 texts, each more dramatic than the last. "You ruined my life. Everyone is laughing at me. Preston's parents hate us now. I'll never forgive you for this. How could you be so cruel?" I blocked all 3 numbers. Miranda handed me tea, and we sat on her couch while I tried to process everything that had just happened. The extended family group chat was complete chaos. I opened it to dozens of messages. Various aunts and uncles and cousins were asking what happened, why the party was cancelled, if everyone was okay. Bradford had posted a message about an hour after I left. "Due to Harper's mental health crisis, today's event had to be cancelled. Please respect our family's privacy during this difficult time." He was trying to control the narrative again, painting me as unstable. But then Juliet posted, "That's a complete lie, Uncle Bradford. Harper doesn't have a mental health crisis. You banned her from the party she paid over $14,000 for, tried to steal credit for her generosity, and she simply cancelled what was legally hers. She had every right." Below her message, Shed attached screenshots. My father's text to me banning me from Thanksgiving. The email chain between Bradford and Claudette planning to use me for money. The receipts showing all my payments. The group chat exploded. Some relatives defended my father, talking about family loyalty and how we should handle problems privately, but others were appalled. My Aunt Lorraine, Bradford's older sister, wrote, "Bradford, what you did is disgusting. Harper lost her mother and you've spent years making her feel worthless. Enough is enough." My cousin Timothy added, "This is financial abuse. You stole from your own daughter." Several other family members chimed in with similar sentiments. Bradford removed Juliet from the group chat. Then Lorraine. Then anyone who defended me. Within an hour, the group had split into 2 factions. Juliet texted me privately, "I'm so proud of you for standing up for yourself. Don't back down. Don't apologize. You did nothing wrong." Miranda echoed those sentiments. She made me promise not to contact my father, not to try to smooth things over, to let this play out. We ordered takeout, and I spent the evening at her place, trying to process the fact that I'd just blown up my entire family dynamic. That evening, I received an email from my bank. They were investigating the fraud claim regarding the unauthorized charges Claudette had made. The charge had been flagged as suspicious and would likely be reversed within 30 days. If I wanted to pursue criminal charges, they could provide documentation. I saved the email but didn't make any decisions yet about involving police. Then I received a message on LinkedIn from someone I didn't know. Vivienne Sutton, Preston's mother. My hands shook as I opened it. Miss Sutton, I don't know you personally, but I wanted to reach out. Preston told me what happened today, and I did some asking around among your extended family members to understand the full situation. What your father did to you was despicable. He used you, abused your generosity, and then tried to erase your contribution entirely. I want you to know that Preston and I had a very serious conversation this evening. He's reconsidering his engagement to your half-sister. A family that treats their own members with such cruelty isn't one we want to join through marriage. I hope you're doing well. What you did today took tremendous courage. You should be proud of yourself. I read that message 3 times and then I cried. Real, deep crying that I'd been holding back all day. It wasn't sad crying exactly. It was release. This stranger, this woman I'd never met, saw the truth clearly and validated everything I'd been feeling. Miranda held me while I cried, not saying anything, just being present. I checked social media. Bianca had deleted all her engagement party posts. Every single photo and caption about the celebration was gone from her Instagram. Claudette's account had been set to private. Bradford hadn't posted anything at all, which was unusual for him since he typically used social media to cultivate his professional image. Their public humiliation was complete, the narrative they'd tried to build about their perfect family shattered. I made my own post on Facebook, something simple and honest. Sometimes the family you're born into isn't your real family. Today I chose myself over people who only valued me for what I could give them. No regrets. The response was overwhelming. Friends from college, colleagues from work, people I hadn't spoken to in years all commented with support. Many shared their own stories of family dysfunction and the moment they'd chosen to walk away. I wasn't alone in this experience, even though I'd felt alone for so long. 2 weeks passed. I threw myself into therapy, finally addressing the childhood trauma I'd been avoiding for years. My therapist helped me see patterns I'd been blind to. You were conditioned from a young age to equate love with sacrifice, she explained. Your father taught you that you only mattered if you were useful, if you could provide something. Your stepmother reinforced that dynamic. You've spent years trying to earn love that should have been freely given. It was painful hearing it laid out so clearly, but it was also freeing. 1 month after Thanksgiving, a registered letter arrived at my apartment. It was from a law firm representing my father. The letter threatened legal action, claiming I'd breached a verbal agreement to host the Thanksgiving dinner and that my cancellation had caused damages to the family's reputation and business relationships. They demanded I pay compensation for the embarrassment caused. I took the letter to a lawyer immediately. My lawyer read it and actually laughed. They have no case whatsoever, she told me. You can't sue someone for canceling their own event that they paid for. There was no binding contract between you and your father, just your generosity, which you were free to withdraw at any time. If anything, you have grounds to sue them for fraud regarding those unauthorized charges. Would you like to countersue? I thought about it seriously but ultimately decided against it. I sent a cease and desist letter through my lawyer. My father backed down immediately. The legal threats stopped. 6 weeks after Thanksgiving, Juliet called with news. Bianca and Preston had broken up. Preston's family had refused to approve the marriage. They couldn't trust the Harrison family values, Juliet explained. They saw how your father treated you and decided they didn't want their son marrying into that dysfunction. Bianca is devastated. She's blaming you entirely for the breakup. I felt a complicated mix of emotions about that. Part of me felt guilty, but a larger part recognized that this wasn't my fault. I hadn't forced my father to abuse me. I hadn't forced Bianca to go along with excluding me. They'd made their choices. Bianca sent me one final text from a new number. I hope you're happy. You destroyed my engagement. You destroyed my relationship with Preston. You destroyed everything. My life is ruined because of you. I stared at that message for a long time. Then I blocked the number without responding. Her life falling apart wasn't my responsibility. I hadn't destroyed anything. It simply stopped allowing myself to be destroyed. 2 months after Thanksgiving, the bank fully processed my fraud claim. The unauthorized $1,800 charge from Claudette was reversed and returned to my account. Additionally, the venue had processed my 60% refund of $8,200. In total, I recovered $10,000 of the $14,000 ID spent. ID lost $4,000, which hurt financially. But ID gained something far more valuable. It gained my self-respect back. I used that money deliberately and symbolically. $2,000 went to a women's shelter that helps women escape abusive family situations. $5,000 went into an investment account for my future. The remaining $3,200 I used to book a solo trip to Italy, something I'd always wanted to do but never felt I deserved. I spent 2 weeks over Christmas exploring Rome and Florence and the Tuscan countryside. I met other solo travelers, made genuine friends with people who knew nothing about my family drama and liked me simply for who I was. It was the best holiday I'd ever had. No expectations to meet, no impossible standards to achieve, no walking on eggshells. Just me, being myself, and that being enough. When I returned home, I felt different, lighter somehow, despite everything I'd lost. I set hard boundaries with the remaining family members. I maintained my relationship with Juliet and reconnected with my Aunt Lorraine. And 3 cousins who'd reached out with support. The rest of the family, including my father, Claudette, and Bianca, I cut off completely. No contact, no updates, no attempts at reconciliation. My father never apologized. Not once. Claudette sent a passive-aggressive Christmas card to my old address that eventually got forwarded to me. I threw it away without opening it. Bianca remained radio silent, presumably nursing her grudges. 3 months after the incident, I sat in my therapist's office for our regular session. She asked me a question I'd been avoiding. Do you regret canceling the party? I thought about it honestly before answering. Not for 1 second, I finally said. I regret not seeing the truth about my father sooner. I regret giving him so many chances to hurt me. I regret letting Claudette and Bianca treat me like I was disposable. But canceling that party? That was the first truly honest thing I'd done in years. It was me finally saying that I matter, that I deserve basic respect, that my worth isn't determined by how much money I can provide or how useful I can be. So no, I don't regret it at all. My life has transformed in ways I never expected. 6 months after that terrible Thanksgiving, I moved to a new apartment across town, putting physical distance between myself and my father's neighborhood. I decorated it exactly how I wanted, with bright colors and art that made me happy, not worried about anyone else's approval. My career flourished when I stopped being emotionally drained by family drama. I got promoted to senior director, recognition for work I'd been doing well all along, but had been too exhausted to fully invest in. I started dating someone I met through a hiking group. His name is Wesley, and he's kind and straightforward and has a healthy relationship with his own family. When I told him about what happened with my father, he was appalled but supportive. He didn't try to fix it or convince me to reconcile. He simply validated that what happened to me was wrong and that I'd made the right choice. That was exactly what I needed. We're taking things slow, building something real without the dysfunction I'd normalized for so long. I received an unexpected message from my Aunt Lorraine, my father's older sister. Harper, I heard about what Bradford did. I'm so sorry I didn't reach out sooner. I should have been there for you after your mother died. Bradford always had a cruel streak growing up, and your mother was the one who balanced him out, who made him better. Without her, he reverted to his worst self. I should have protected you from that. I'm sorry. She invited me to lunch. We met at a quiet restaurant and talked for 3 hours. She told me stories about my mother that I'd never heard, memories that made my mom feel alive again. Lorraine and I started meeting regularly. One healthy family connection, salvaged from the wreckage. Now, today, I'm sitting in my bright apartment, reflecting on everything I've learned. First, giving from obligation or desperation isn't love, it's a transaction, and transactions can always be canceled when the terms become abusive. Second, family isn't an excuse for abuse. The title of father or sister or stepmother doesn't grant unlimited permission to harm someone. Third, you teach people how to treat you. And I'd taught my father that I would accept any cruelty as long as he occasionally acknowledged my existence. Fourth, walking away from toxicity isn't giving up on family, it's choosing yourself, and that's not selfish, it's survival. Fifth, the people who truly love you will never make you constantly earn that love through sacrifice and service and money. Real love is given freely or it isn't love at all. And sixth, your worth as a human being isn't determined by how much you sacrifice, how useful you are, or how much you can give. You have inherent value simply by existing. Last weekend, I hosted my own Friendsgiving. It was small and intimate. Miranda, Juliet, Wesley, 3 close friends from work, and Aunt Lorraine, 8 people total sitting around my dining room table. I cooked the meal myself, nothing fancy, just roasted chicken and vegetables and homemade rolls. The total cost was maybe $200. The value was immeasurable. Everyone there genuinely wanted to be present. The conversation flowed naturally, full of laughter and honesty. Nobody was performing or trying to impress anyone. When someone asked if I missed my father, I paused and gave the most honest answer I could. I miss the father I wished he was, I said. But I don't miss the father he actually is. And I'm finally okay with that. We raised our glasses in a toast. To chosen family, Miranda said. Everyone echoed the sentiment. I looked around the table at these people who showed up for me, not because of obligation or what I could provide, but simply because they cared about me as a person. This is what family should feel like. Safe, genuine, mutual. A place where you're valued for who you are, not what you can give. People still ask me if I regret canceling that Thanksgiving party, the party that was supposed to prove I was worthy, valuable, enough for my father's love. Here is the truth I've come to understand. That party never would have proved anything, because to people like my father, I would never be enough. He didn't have the capacity to value me properly, and no amount of money or sacrifice or perfect behavior would change that. The only person I needed to prove myself to was me. And the moment I canceled that party, the moment I chose my dignity over his approval, I finally did prove something. I proved I was strong enough to walk away. I proved I valued myself even when my own father didn't. I proved I could survive losing people I loved, rather than lose myself trying to earn their love. Was it the best $14,000 I ever spent? In a twisted way, yes. Most of that money went to an abusive family that didn't deserve it. But some of it came back to me. And I used it to start building a life based on my own values, instead of desperately seeking approval from people who were never going to give it. The real lesson cost me $4,000, and it was worth every single penny. I learned exactly who I wouldn't spend another dollar on, another ounce of energy on, another moment of my precious life on. And that knowledge? That's priceless. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever had to cut off a toxic family member, even when everyone told you family should always come first? Have you ever been used financially by people who claim to love you? Drop your story in the comments below because I know I'm not alone in this experience. If this story resonated with you, if you've ever felt taken advantage of by your own family, hit that like button. Subscribe to this channel if you want to hear more real stories about choosing yourself over toxic relationships. And please share this video with anyone who needs to hear that it's okay to walk away from people who hurt you, even if they're family. Before I go, I want to say thank you. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for the supportive comments I've been reading. And for anyone out there currently trapped in a similar situation, I want you to know this. You deserve better. You deserve to be loved without conditions. You deserve respect. And you absolutely deserve to choose yourself. I'm sending strength to anyone who needs it today. Take care of yourselves, set those boundaries, and remember that the family you choose can be so much better than the family you were born into. Until next time, this is Harper, reminding you that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is let go.